making sure children are healthy, safe, loved, ready to learn, succeeding in school and in life. This is Our Children, a program brought to you by the Children's Trust.
Good morning. I'm Imran Ali, Interim President and CEO of the Children's Trust.
And I'm Ileana Varela with the Herbert Wertheim College of Medicine at FIU. And together, we welcome you to Our Children.
As expected, this year's legislative session was as hectic as ever, coming to an end just in time for the presidential primary.
We'll have highlights of the major victories for children and families. But first, we want to show you what high school students on the Children's Trust Youth Advisory Committee learned about the political process on their annual trip to Tallahassee during Children's Week. Take a look.
Closed mouths don't get fed. And if you're not at the table, you are most definitely on the menu. And you all are at the table today. So make sure you eat.
All our legislators are currently here for Children's Week, and the state of Florida is one of the only states that has a full week dedicated to children's issue and policy regarding children. And that makes our state very unique, and that shows that our state is really trying to progress in terms of children's issues.
Children's experiences, the youth experience needs to be part of our legislative approach, that members need to understand how what they're doing impacts directly on youth and our children.
We are not fault finders looking to criticize. We are looking for the reasons why civic engagement is low.
By the time I graduated high school, I had one class that was sort of a combination of government and civics, and it was only for one semester.
There's no better perspective for a policymaker to hear the voice of a child. It brings a different perspective to that legislator. It brings that human element that so many times as legislators pass bills and laws, sometimes you lose.
I'll definitely go back and share my lessons learned, for example, how important it is to be an advocate.
This time I actually got to sit down with a legislator, we exchanged phone numbers, and are actually working an issue that's important to me within my school at Miami-Jackson.
I learned that it's possible, that the politicians and officials that we're electing are willing to help us all, and it's not one against the other, that we're all hand in hand, trying to make change, make the world a better place.
I'm gonna do it now!
Joining us now are State Senator Rene Garcia, Chair of the Appropriations Subcommittee on Health and Human Services, and Diana Rugby, Director of Public Policy and Community Engagement at the Children's Trust.
Welcome, both of you. Senator, I want to start with you and the passage of kid care expansion, which, of course, you co-sponsored with your counterpart in the House, Jose Felix Diaz. I can't believe it took 7 years in the making. You must feel like you've birthed a baby. So I want to know, first of all, personally, what it's meant for you, but also, what it means for our community.
Well, first of all, I was birthing a 7-year-old baby. That's what it was. But it's a great, and Diana and I worked really hard on trying to get this accomplished. But it's great for our community because, look, it just ensures that children will not have access to health care, that they don't have to wait the 5-year period or the 5-year wait period before when they become citizens or they become naturalized or they get their papers in order to apply for Medicaid and for kid care. So now it's a big deal, and now a lot of these children will now automatically become eligible and can qualify and get health care coverage. And at the end of the day, it's going to save the state a lot of money. And so we're very happy that we were able to get that bill to this final posture, and the governor signed it
last night.
As a matter of fact. So we're very happy.
It was worth the wait.
No, absolutely. I wish we've been fighting it for so long. It's very difficult. It's hard sometimes to see a bill that will do much good for the community, that it takes it so long to get there. And but it just took some time to convince the members that had nothing to do with illegal children or undocumented children, which, by the way, I wish we could have done it for the undocumented children, because they're here by no fault of their own, and they still need access to health care. But this is, I think, the first step in a long road that we still have to go to make sure that all children in the state of Florida are covered.
Absolutely. That was the sticking point, wasn't it? making that distinction, making sure that everyone knew.
Yes, that and the fiscal note, the fact that they originally said the bill would cost $500 million. Now they've come to understand that the bill actually saves the state money because we're no longer paying for emergency care costs. And the federal government also increased the federal match. So it's a savings, and we're taking care of our children timely before they get chronic and acute illnesses.
Senator, what's new in mental health? I know that has been an interest of yours for a long time, and it's an interest of us at the Children's Trust also. So tell us a little bit about what was accomplished in this session.
Well, we're excited. Last year we had a mental health package that we were trying to reform the delivery of mental health in the state of Florida. And unfortunately last year the bill died because the House of Representatives left early, and I didn't feel comfortable with the product that they sent our way, and I didn't want to have just a half-baked bill, for lack of better words. But this year what we were able to do is integrate the system, start the process of integrating the system, making sure that the Marchman Act that has to do with substance abuse and the Baker Act that has to do with behavioral health, trying to align them so it makes it easier for a loved one, a family member, or a person in crisis to access the system. We also empowered the local communities to come up with certain plans based on the needs of those communities to make sure that everyone, when they enter the system, that there will be no wrong door. It doesn't matter what entry system or entry point they go into it, if it's through a crisis stabilization unit or through a Baker Act facility, or is it through the criminal justice system, that those people, once they're identified, they get a unique identifier and they actually come out with a treatment plan. It's still a long road to go, but it's a great accomplishment to ensure that we now start talking about mental health. It's not only for adults but for children as well, that we start treating mental health like any other disease, like a cancer or anything other than we treat, or a heart disease. We have to make sure that it is integrated into the primary care delivery system, and that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Diana, what about early childhood education? So critical. Any victories this year?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks to Representative Fresno, who unfortunately couldn't be with us this morning, we were able to get increased funding for VPK, the Voluntary Pre-Kindergarten Program, for Help Me Grow, which links families to services for their young ones, an increase in performance funding for school readiness, and also an increase in funding for the number of slots for subsidized childcare, so working families can go to work and be assured that their children are in quality care. We also passed a bill that brings down significant federal dollars. A Child Care Development Block Grant was reauthorized, and it requires states to improve their quality, such as lower student-teacher ratio, so we can make sure our children are really safe in very nurturing environments. So we're really pleased about progress in early learning. That bill took a long time to pass, that health and safety bill for childcare. 3 years, not as long as kid care, but sometimes good things are worth the wait, so that's another area.
So Diana, tell us a little bit about children with disabilities and how the child welfare system and that category of children with disabilities make out in the last session.
Well, we have to thank the senator here, who is chair of Health and Human Services Appropriations in the Senate, for doing a number of things. He put in increased funding for community-based care, about $20 million, and another $20 million for coordinating care. So children in foster care can get improved services, so that's one thing. As far as children with disabilities, we experienced an increase in funding for a program called Early Steps. This is recognizing our infants and toddlers with developmental delays. And a bill was passed also that coordinates the program better, improves accountability standards, makes sure parents are linked to these services from in the hospital, at school system, and so forth. So that's one thing. Down syndrome was included as one of the areas of developmental disabilities that's now covered by insurance, and I happened to be in the viewing gallery with President Gardner's son Andrew
who has Down syndrome. He's 12 years old. When that bill was passed on the last day of session, there's increased funding to remove children and adults from the waiting list, the Agency for Persons with Disabilities waiting list. And for children in the foster care system, they have increased status. They don't have to wait as long.
Wow. So proof that hard work does pay off. Thank you both of you for a very busy session, but again, at the end, look at how much progress we've made. Thank you both for joining us, and congratulations again for a very productive legislative session. Thank you on behalf of children and families. We're going to take a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to introduce you to the new president and CEO of the Children's Trust, so do not go away.
I started playing the violin when I was 8 years old, but I didn't always want to be a violinist. My violin teacher told me about Greater Miami Symphony, and everyone was just so nice, and the challenge was amazing. 1, 2, 3. And thanks to the support of the Children's Trust, there are now hundreds of kids chasing their dreams just like me.
To find out more about our programs and how you can get your children involved, log on to thechildrenstrust.org or call 211. The Children's Trust, because all children are our children.
Our parents always said education is important. They wanted to make sure we got the right motivation and the right education. Everything we needed to make college a reality. Breakthrough Miami gave us all those things. It's a really fun way to learn. Now thanks to Breakthrough and the Children's Trust, I'm an engineering major at Miami-Dade College. And I'm an engineering major at FIU.
To find out more about our programs and how you can get your children involved, log on to thechildrenstrust.org or call 211. The Children's Trust, because all children are our children.
Welcome back. Joining us now is Jim Hodge, an assistant superintendent at Miami-Dade County Public Schools, who was recently appointed president and CEO of the Children's Trust.
Jim, welcome.
Thank you.
So you grew up in Miami. You've pretty much dedicated your entire career to the school system.
Yep.
What brings you to the Children's Trust?
Leon, thank you for having me here. I did grow up in Miami, spent 24 years dedicating my life to children in Dade County Public Schools. I served as a teacher, an assistant principal, region director, and my last position, my current position, is assistant superintendent of labor relations, where I'm the chief negotiator for the district. And what drew me to Children's Trust is because it's similar lines. It's the children. How do we benefit this community? How do we improve the lives of children? And it really was about the fit. Out of all the years, I've never looked elsewhere, but when this position, it really called me, and I think it was about the fit, and I put my name into the hat, and I'm very proud to be a chosen CEO of the Children's Trust.
Being a chief negotiator, that means you had to negotiate a lot of contracts. How will you bring that skill to the Children's Trust to benefit the organization and the children as a whole?
Correct. Well, it's taught me a lot about patience, taught me a lot about working with all stakeholders. It has taught me also about listening to the other sides and listening to other people's concerns. The nice thing about building to the Children's Trust is that the kids are the central focus. So when you're having difficult situations and the kids are the main item of concern or the topic, I think putting reasonable people around that table to better the life of kids, you will come to some type of agreement. However, what I've also learned too is to stay true to your values. I will stay true to the Children's Trust values. I will stay true to the taxpayers because they have invested in the Children's Trust. And you do have my commitment to build an efficient organization, a lean organization, an effective organization that does well by all kids, and we get a return on our investment for our program.
So you started at the school system, but you started as a teacher. Here you're starting at the top, so the learning curve is different. What's going to be your strategy?
Well, it is going to be a steep learning curve because I'm walking into an organization that I've never been part of. However, I have led, and I think knowing how to lead, and I've led a school of 300 people. I've led different regions with approximately 100 principals. I've led the Office of Labor Relations. So it really is, as a leader, you utilize people, utilize people's strengths, and keep the vision of the Children's Trust in mind. That needs to be on the focus. The kids are our top priority.
And speaking of kids, I hear that children with disabilities have a special place in your heart.
Yeah, they are. And thank you for asking that. I started my career working as a teacher with students with intellectual disabilities. I also coached Special Olympics, put a lot of time into that program. It was extremely rewarding for me. Then I went on to be a middle school principal of a program with autistic students, and I spent 2 years improving that program. And I returned to where I graduated from, Southwest Senior High School, as the principal there with, I think it was the largest or one of the largest special education populations with close to 500 students. So my goal at the high school was to increase inclusionary practices, where we put students with disabilities in the regular ed settings. And we worked very hard to do so, and I think I've had great success doing so. We had the Teacher of the Year for the district, who was an intellectually disabled teacher. 1 out of 20,000 teachers, he was selected as the Teacher of the Year. But the most really rewarding was 5 or 6 years of trying to build a climate, put the Best Buddies program in there, a lot of varying programs with special education students. After 5 or 6 years of building the climate, when I left shortly after that homecoming dance, the student body voted 2 intellectually disabled students as king and queen of the homecoming dance. And that's when you know you create a climate and you create a change for everybody involved.
Absolutely.
So Jim, tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very proud of my family. My parents were both born in the Middle East in the 1930s. At about 1 year old, my father contracted disease and became blind. Normally, in those times, if you're disabled, you're left to menial work, institutionalized, but through a series of loving people and a lot of luck, he ended up coming to New York, and my mother came after him. He got services from a guide dog, a lot of services, public housing, a variety of other services, and he graduated with his doctorate from Columbia University.
Wow.
And one thing he instilled in me and my 3 brothers is, you got to put the ladder back down. We wouldn't have been here without other people helping, so we need to do the same. And I think I have 2 brothers, one who works, recently appointed as artistic director of the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis, which is a very big theater. And the other one is the editor-in-chief of the Miami Business Review. I believe I got that right, if not the Miami Business Review. And in that sense of service, we started a scholarship at FIU in my father's name in perpetuity for a visually disabled person, myself and my brothers and my family.
Oh, that's good.
So, and I have a beautiful wife who's a social worker and a counselor, and most importantly, 3 wonderful, very energetic children who I'm very proud of.
So it's about creating opportunities for yourself, but also about giving back.
Absolutely, absolutely. The whole issue is giving back. I think I've worked tirelessly on behalf of kids. I'm going to continue, and I'm going to utilize this position as a CEO to run the Children's Trust, but also to advocate on all children's issues.
So, Jim, I have a feeling you're not going to be one of those people who lead from behind your desk.
No.
I think you're going to be eager to get back out into the community beginning next month. So we wish you well. Welcome on board, and in the next program, I hope you'll be joining me right here on the set.
Thank you.
So we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Jim.
Now, those of you at home, don't go away. When we come back, we're going to have the very latest on the biggest talent competition for kids in Miami-Dade. So stay with us.
Someday, he'll own his own company. She's going to have a career in graphic design. And believe it or not, future pediatrician. And so that your kids can succeed tomorrow, the Children's Trust is investing in them today by supporting hundreds of programs and services dedicated to helping kids and parents. To find a program for your child or learn more about what we can do for your family, log on to thechildrenstrust.org or call 211. The Children's Trust, because all children are our children.
Young Talent, Big Dreams. The most comprehensive local youth talent competition for performers ages 8 to 17 is auditioning talented kids throughout Miami-Dade County. Presented by the Actors Playhouse at the Miracle Theater and the Children's Trust, talented kids compete for prizes, scholarships, and performance opportunities. For complete details, visit these websites or call 211.
Welcome back. The Young Talent Big Dreams Talent Competition is in full swing, and we are a proud sponsor. Ileana, I know you love this event, this competition.
I do. I go to the finals in April every year, and I take the entire family. I think the talent is amazing, but don't take my word for it. Let's show everyone at home what it's all about.
It's time to step out and strut. For the 6th straight year, Miami's most talented young people are getting a taste of the star treatment.
You can advance up to 18 acts today.
Auditions for Young Talent Big Dreams have already started.
I have a passion for singing.
Mercedes Young belted out some Mariah.
If you search the world alone, no one really... I know I'm not the best in the world, but I can't be the best if, like, I want to.
10-year-old Delvis Garcia hit the keyboard to sound out his dream and thinks he knows what the judges are looking for.
A lot of effort, creativity, and wanting to do it, like, I really want to do it, be into it.
The competition is free. Vocals, groups, instruments, dance, even the spoken word. A panel of Miami performance professionals are judges. They'll be looking and listening.
The kids that come from a different, tougher background will have more to show, maybe emotionally.
Miami's largest talent competition is sponsored by the Children's Trust and Actors Playhouse at the Miracle Theater.
You could walk away with some cash. Okay, but that's not the real thing. You're going to walk away with a pride and new confidence in yourself and the fact that if I can do that, look out world.
Each act has just a minute to impress the panel. There are up to 9 winners and 1 grand prize winner. Auditions will run through April. More than 500 kids and teens competed last year.
Joining us now is Earl Malden, Director of Theatre for Young Audiences at Actors Playhouse and the MC of the Young Talent Big Dreams.
Good morning.
Hello. It's so good to have you here. I mean, you're such a big part of this. You're a dynamo, as far as I'm concerned.
You're so sweet.
You're like this little engine that doesn't stop. So I wonder, what's your favorite part in all of this?
I think the young people stepping up, and whether they advance or not, the fact that they are willing to trust us and to come to one of our preliminary rounds, to step on the stage and to take a chance on themselves, and they feel safe enough to do that. And then there's always those little aha moments, because a lot of the performers at first are, you know, terrified. And then and they have a minute in the first round, and there's a point about 15 or 20 seconds in where you see them go, and they relax, and then we see the true performer come out, and it's and I always consider it a gift, you know, when that happens, and it's just very beautiful.
So Earl, recently you had an audition in the heart of Liberty City following the recent shooting death of a 6-year-old. How was that experience for you?
It was, again, as you know, you asked earlier, what are some of your favorite moments? It was a young lady that had entered our spoken word category, and she presented a very strong, very personal piece. And afterwards, I always like to, you know, discuss a little bit more with them. And I said, you know, what was your inspiration for writing this? And this is a young lady, I believe 16, 17 years old. And she said, I wrote this out of the violence and the things that are happening in my community. She said, I feel I, as a young person, need to stand up. I need to take charge and try to inspire other young people to not be silent, to speak out about our community pulling together, and that we can make a difference, but we do have to speak up, and we have to work together to solve this issue, because it's not just one person cannot fix it. So it was very touching and very exciting, and exciting is not really the right word, for the future. Of us to have a young person like that that's willing to stand up and speak out on behalf of all young people it's amazing.
I think inspiring is probably a good word, and I've always found when I go, one of the reasons that I like to go, you know, obviously the talent is truly amazing, but the spoken word talent is truly inspiring. Are you planning on going back to the African Heritage Cultural Arts Center?
Absolutely. We think it's a wonderful center. They have ongoing classes there, so we want to pull from that community. And Saturday, April the 2nd, we will be there from 12 to 6, having lots of talented young people from all communities in Miami-Dade coming free of charge, no entry fee, okay, to compete. The young performers, grand prize up to $500. Master classes from professionals, chances to perform throughout the community on behalf of the trust, and Young Talent Big Dreams. So it's a wonderful opportunity for parents to encourage their young people. And for young people, no one's going to knock on your door and say, hey, come compete in the competition. We're coming to your community. Come join us.
So what other places are you coming
we will
to our community?
Absolutely. We'll then be at the Miracle Theater on April 9th, 10th, and the 17th. This last couple of weeks ago, we were at African Heritage and then also at South Miami-Dade. So those have been completed, but now we move on to our final 4 preliminaries.
So we've done a lot of, you know, we've done a lot of talking about the spoken word, but what else can the kids enter?
There's 2 vocal categories for singers, Broadway, jazz, and classical. Pop, rock, and rap, 2 different categories for singers. We have our dance category that is always visually incredible. We have an individual original composition, which is very exciting. Again, trying to encourage the creativity of the young people. We also then have our group categories of dance, instrumental, and bands and vocal groups. There's also individual instrumental as well. So those are 9 categories that we have in the competition.
And again, the kids win.
Well, they win every time they step on stage. Quite honestly, I know that you're looking for the eventual, but every time, and that's for me, that's really what this is about, is offering an opportunity for the young people to take a chance on themselves. And eventually, from each preliminary, we can advance up to 18 acts to a semifinal round at the Miracle Theater. We have 2 days of semifinals, hundreds of acts involved, and then we whittle it down to the finals where there's...
And the final prizes are what?
The grand prize, there's a cash prize in every category.
That's the $500.
Well, there's a cash prize in every category, and then on top of that, there's an additional prize for the grand prize winner that gets to $500.
Okay.
And then there are master classes. There are tickets for events throughout the community. And then a winning thing for young performers is the chance then to perform regularly throughout the next year in all different areas.
Thank you, Earl. Thanks for being with us. I don't know where he gets all that energy. Wish we could bottle it and sell it. We'd be millionaires.
Lots of energy.
And there's lots of competitions left to go, so parents, don't waste 1 more minute to pre-register your child for an audition by visiting actorsplayhouse.org, actorsplayhouse.org. That is all the time we have for now, but we will be back next month with Jim Hodge, whom you met earlier, to talk about summer camps. Absolutely one of my favorite shows of the year. For now, on behalf of Imran Ali and the Children's Trust, I'm Ileana Barella. Thanks for watching.
Our Children is brought to you by the Children's Trust. The Children's Trust invests in programs and services that help make children healthy, safe, loved, ready to learn, succeed in school and in life. To access its funded programs and services in Miami-Dade County, visit thechildrenstrust.org or call the Children's Trust helpline at 211, because all children are our children.